GC Nation. Hey, another Minisode Monday. This week in history and what happened. This one's really fun because we're going to get into the Kennedy assassination. And I don't know if you've been hearing on the news, they've actually been talking about the Kennedy assassination and releasing a lot of the documents that have been coming out. So this is an interesting week, especially in US history. But there's also a lot of other things that happen. And I'm going to start off with a really big one. The British Empire was finally diminished. This day, November 20th, 1926. And this is when the British Empire basically decided to let Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and Newfoundland, however you want to say it, granted them self-governance. Huge thing, because those were some of the biggest, most profitable, and also the most significant parts of the British Empire. And the British government decided to give them self-governance, giving them independence. It's an amazing thing. Again, this is 1926. You also have Spanish that gave up parts of South America. We're also going to get into that this week too. So that was November 20th. November 21st, also really interesting. The last Japanese shogun released their power in the leader was actually died. His name was Tokugawa Kyoki. And so, interesting, not a huge significance to a lot of us, but it's big in history because that's when the Japanese shogun, one of the last leaders, was put to rest. So, interesting. Now, November 22nd, another date in US history that won't be forgotten because this is the day of the Kennedy assassination. That's right. So Oswald was considered the gunman of, his name is Lee Harvey Oswald, was considered the assassin for Kennedy. And there's been a lot of questions if that was actually true or not. I'm not going to go into the conspiracy theories. But what I will say is that this is significant because of 2 days later what happens. So wait for that. It was Kennedy. Kennedy was a guy that a lot of the people wanted in power, while a lot of the people outside, the leaders and stuff like that, they didn't want him to be leaders. Even of his own party, they didn't want him to be their leader. So Kennedy was an interesting fellow when it came to being a president. And a lot of things he could think of that he supported were actually conservative. A lot of things were liberal. So there's a lot of controversy beyond this president. But also what happened this day in history, interesting enough, this was also Blackbeard, Edward Teach, gave up the ghost. Basically, he was killed this day. Met his match. Interesting enough, the Pearl and one of two British frigates sent by the Virginia governor had ended his reign of terror. So, interesting. You might want to look him up. He's also one of the cards in the game, but there's a lot more history than in the card. But it will get you started. So, November 23rd, Russian controversy. So this is actually, there was a KGB dissenter, a Russian dissenter, KGB bodyguard that actually defected, and went over to Europe, to England. And this day, November 23rd, he had a really quick death because his tea was laced with what's called polonium-210, which is almost an instant kill. So somebody had slipped it into his drink. Interesting enough, guess who was the leader that he was fallen out of with? The Russian leader, Vladimir Putin, who is now president, or whatever, of Russia. Interesting. So this guy dies, unknown reasons, at least no one will say, minus the fact that they knew he was poisoned by, most likely, Russia. Who knows? Again, not going conspiracy theory, but just telling you a fact. Okay, so November 24th. So I told you Kennedy was assassinated on the 22nd. The 24th, guess who was assassinated? Oswald, the assassin for Kennedy. And he was actually killed by a a business owner, I won't say what kind of business, in Dallas. He was being transported by police guards through an underground private parking lot and was assassinated in there. This just made the conspiracy theorists go crazy because the assassin of the president was then assassinated. Yeah, that's pretty telling. Again, not saying conspiracy theories, I'm just saying that's really interesting. November 25th. Remember, okay, communism was being trying to dragged out of the U.S. government. A lot of people were, it's McCarthyism. Check it out. But this one's called the Hollywood 10 were blacklisted. 10 people, high people in Hollywood, were accused of communism or spreading communism. And they decided they would not go in front of Congress to talk to them. Well, Congress didn't like this, so they actually banned them from their work, that they could not practice or do any acting or anything. They were blacklisted from Hollywood because of their lack of cooperation. Not saying it's, I mean, Congress asked them to go talk to them, but was it a witch hunt? I don't know. Not saying. This is an interesting time period in U.S. history because we were trying to get communism out of the government. There was a lot of people trying to bring communism into the government. So check it out. There's a lot more information in there. I think you'll find some really interesting tidbits in there. November 26th. Now, President Roosevelt was the first president to go abroad of any U.S. president during their term. Well, interesting enough, ever since then, you've got Obama that went everywhere during his presidency. You have the Bushes that did. You have everybody goes everywhere. Well, Roosevelt, on November 26th, 1906, it was his first time going abroad and coming back. He actually spent a travel of 17 days on the battleship Louisiana during this time. So I hope you enjoyed this little bit of tidbits of what's going on this week in history. Look some of these up. These are really interesting stories. Find one that you like. Check it out. Send any comments you might in the comments below about more that you might know. Even if you want to go conspiracy theory, sure, have fun. I mean, it's just a community. I might mark it as conspiracy theory that we don't know what happened, but hey, you know, have fun with it. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye. If you have any comments or questions, add them to the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow, actually. Take care. Bye.